Okay, we are live. And assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Um,
salam.
yes, sir. First, we want to get started with prayer. So, Brother Bobby, do you mind opening us up in prayer?
I do not.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Surely I am being turned to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayers, my sacrifices, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. No associate has he, and this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I do confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none can grant protection against faults but thee. Guide me to the best of morals, for none can guide to the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham. For surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful. For surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst. Ameen.
Praise be. Oh, praise be to Allah. I mean, thank you so much, Brother Bobby. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared in the person of Master Faraq Muhammad. I further bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed the exalted Christ. And we are so forever thankful to Allah for leaving in our midst the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is in their names that I greet you all with the words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, so let me get in this control room and mute people. Okay. Sister Georgina, could you mute your line? Okay, there we go.
Okay, there should be some black working stuff over there in the box.
Give us 1 second. Okay, praise be to Allah. All right, so this is day 5. Oh my goodness, this has been quite a week for the MUI Homeschool Network Professional Development Series. We have been so blessed. I mean, tremendously blessed to have all of the presenters that we have had. From Sister Waikiki, who taught us about the 3 C's and encouraged us to stay committed to our students. From Brother Eric and Sister Haji, they encouraged us to seek the many different subjects in Islamic civilization, like biology, history, reading, and mathematics. All the way to our brother last night, who we enjoyed so very much, Brother Shantain Muhammad. Although we had some technical glitches with Brother Shantain, it turned out to be a remarkable presentation. He did a beautiful job encouraging us to use the supreme wisdom to teach those mathematical skills to our children. So through it all, we are really learning how to effectively teach our children, and that's the whole point of this. How do we effectively teach our children with our lessons as the base, right? And so I think what we have also learned is that everything we have is right here in our nation. So praise be to Allah. And so at this time, we would like to have Brother Bobby's bio read. Sister Isabel, are you able to read that at this time?
No, ma'am, I'm not, and I actually don't have it.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I have it right here. So, praise be to Allah. Brother Bobby Muhammad has been a member of the Nation of Islam for 21 years. He actually became registered in Dayton, Ohio's Muhammad Mosque number 19, where he later served as assistant minister and FOI captain. As an educational leader, he has served as a classroom teacher, athletics coach, curriculum specialist, and as a program and curriculum director. He has served in middle schools, high schools, and universities. He's a native of Colorado Springs, Colorado. He is a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy with a Bachelor's of Science in Biology. He earned his Master's of Education degree from Wright State University. Upon graduating from the academy, he served as a project management officer while awaiting enrollment into pilot training. However, rather than accepting the pilot training slot when offered, he instead chose to resign his officer commission on the basis of conscientious objection. Upon accepting the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we are so thankful that that happened. Okay, Brother Bobby has written and implemented extensive curricula specific to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This curricula have been utilized in mosques, study groups, and educational networks throughout the country. He is also a professional Hubbard Dianetics auditor with permanent certification gold seal. And I want to just make a point right now and state that all of the presenters that I think that we have had on this week have all been Dianetics auditors. I just needed to say that. So praise be to Allah. Brother Bobby's teaching experience also includes 7th and 8th grade integrated science, high school biology and physics, as well as undergraduate physics for education majors. He was also involved in developing and implementing a 9th grade physical science curriculum for the Dayton Public Schools in Ohio. Wow. As a curriculum and instruction specialist, he has developed and facilitated professional development for teachers. Working with community support agencies which serve urban youth, he has developed curricula to address character development, self-esteem, critical thinking, and interpersonal relationships. Brother Bobby has placed considerable focus on the needs of Black male students who, as a group, have shown to be at the greatest risk academically. To address these needs, he has provided workshops for teachers and teacher educators, which present essential concepts and effective strategies. He returned to Colorado from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he served as the student assistant minister of Muhammad Mosque number 12. There also he served as a co-chair of the Philadelphia Millions More Movement Education Committee. Praise be to Allah. Excuse me. Okay, and I know something else about Brother Bobby that I want to share. He also speaks French. Oui, yes, he does. So praise be to Allah. This is a talented brother. So at this time, I don't want to, delay this any longer. I bring to you Brother Bobby Muhammad.
Thank you, sister.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Let me begin. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but He, and that Muhammad is His servant. I first want to make sure that I'm coming through pretty clear. I've turned down the volume, so I guess I can turn it up just a tad. I just didn't want to have double volume coming through in the recording because I believe this is being recorded. I guess you can give me a thumbs up. That'll work. If everything is sounding good, and those that are in the, thank you, and those that are in the audience, wherever you are, my primary focus and goal today is, number one, to be very clear and also to be concise, and having been invited to participate in this fantastic forum and program and week-long series, I really wanted to make sure that it's easy to get ambitious and try to do a whole bunch and then really accomplish very little. So I decided to just really narrow it down, and I don't want to really be long. I decided I want to just narrow it down to just a few things, but throughout the presentation or the session, I really want to make sure that things are coming across clearly, and I also want to try to account for any delays that may be happening as this session continues. So if you're online, and I believe I'm looking at the group chat, if things are coming through clear thus far, if you could type a number 1 and just hit enter, and that would kind of tell me what the delay is, and also it would tell me whether or not it's clear. Actually, a 1 if it's clear, a 2 if it's kind of clear, and a 3 if it's just horrible right now. Okay, so that's the homeschool with the 1.
Okay.
So I'm just monitoring the delay.
Okay. Now, Brother Bobby, are you on our site as well, watching it?
Because I know with the staff, it's a little different than with the audience as far as reception.
Right.
So
Yes,
I still
sir.
haven't received any other input from any of the audience members. Hopefully they didn't fall asleep already. We just got started.
No, sir. I can actually go check on that myself, Brother
I know it's
Bobby,
been a
if you
long
want to
day,
go ahead and get
and
started.
it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and here in Colorado it's only 6 o'clock. So
Yes,
that may
sir.
account for
I'll
something.
go check on that upstairs, but I think you should probably go
So
ahead
I've
and
still
get
not
started, and
received
I'll go
any
check on.
other input.
Brother Bobby, can you hear me?
I can now. I just turned you up because I didn't want to have the
Oh,
back.
okay. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. No, I said you can go ahead and get started because I can hear you clearly, but I'm gonna go check upstairs and see
Okay.
about that delay.
Okay. All right.
And Sister
Yes,
Ruthie
ma'am. So
just
I've been
joined in.
advised to
Okay.
go ahead and proceed. So I apologize if there's a delay, and I would like to get responses from the audience,
Yes, sir.
in particular if things are clear and you can see
Okay.
things clearly, because I'm going to be using my document camera to show you several
Okay.
things, and definitely when I put those on the screen, it would be very helpful, especially those in the audience that aren't staff, if you could type in a 1 if it's very clear, and I guess a 3 if it's not clear. Maybe we'll make it even simpler. A 1 and a
Okay.
3. 1 is clear, 3 it's not. Okay?
Okay. I'll go check on that
So
right
I will
now.
go ahead and just proceed. Do I need to turn my volume up again? Sister Kadar trying to talk to me?
No, I said I'll check on that right now.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed. So, as I said, my purpose is, number one, to be very clear and concise. And I decided on 3 things to share. One of them would be a tool that could be used specifically in the area of science, but also that tool can actually be used in any other subject area. I also want to share 2 lessons, one that I hope can be immediately used, because I've done a lot of professional development. I've been involved in a lot of professional development, and I know as instructors, we go to a lot of these things and we leave with really nothing we can use, like right away. And so we may get some good information, but it's like we don't really have anything to use that we can right away use with our students. So I hope that one of the 2 lessons is useful immediately, and the other lesson I think will probably require just a little bit more facilitation on my part, which I'm happy to do, but I would just like to present it so that you can have an idea of what it is, and then if you're interested, those that are, then perhaps we can set up another session and we can go into more detail on that particular lesson. So I didn't want to take too much time to go into too much detail, maybe about a lesson that you may not be interested in doing at this present time, but I'll at least put it on this video, on this archive, so that it'll be available for those that may be interested in more information on that. And then the other thing that I wanted to share is just one, you can call it a core practice, something that we as instructors or teachers, homeschool facilitators, we're all in that same category. One core practice that is shown to be effective in helping our students to grow in their learning. So 1 tool, 2 lessons, and then 1 core practice or core strategy of teaching, a principle of teaching. So that's my goal this evening, and I don't intend to be long, and I do want to allow for questions, and I really would like to allow for questions in between each presentation, if you will. So after I preside the tool, I'd like to try to get some questions in. And if the delay is too great, then we'll just keep going and then maybe allow for either emails or some other way for those questions to get to me about this presentation, and we can address them like that. So we'll kind of just play it by ear. Okay, so far we good to go so far? All right, praise be to Allah. Okay, so the very first thing I want to present is something called the Interactive Science Notebook. Some of you may be familiar with interactive notebooks. This is my 2nd year, and I've been in education a long time, and in particular I've been a science teacher, and I've always wanted to do notebooks, and I just never really had an effective way of doing it, so I would abandon it, you know. And so these last 2 years, I just took the risk and just really, you know, bought into this interactive science notebook, and I'm super thankful for doing so. And I think it'd be something that'd be useful to anyone, whether you have 30 students, you know, or like me, I just found out because I didn't even know how many students I have. I got like 200 students, you know. So when you have that many students, it's super helpful. But even with just a few, it's very, very effective tool. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, at least attempt to, because that's one of the things. I've never done a presentation on Google Hangouts. I've used Skype a little bit, but most everything I've done has been in person. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Okay, and I believe I've done that. And then I am going to go over here. And I'm going to back all the way up. Okay, so now, Sister Kadara, if you need to like hit me with some information, I guess I do have the volume up just a tad, so I guess I can do that. And then.
Okay, yes, sir. We can see that, brother, very
all right,
clearly.
good. All right, so here we go. So this is a little guide. I did not create this. This was something that I found that I use for parents when they come in to visit, and I want to explain to them the science notebooks. So I'm going to go through this very quickly and then show you some examples and then go on from there. So this notebook I really like because it allows students to put basically all of their work except for big projects into this notebook. And so you're basically building a portfolio of their work for any given year. So I definitely recommend a notebook that's college ruled, and it should be the size, it should be of a size such that you can lay in a regular sheet of printer paper inside of it and it doesn't stick out. And I'll explain why in a moment. So let's just go through this here. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So here's some information about the tool. And I apologize for that picture kind of being over that word communication. But that picture really does show the fact that there's a left side of that notebook and a right side. So when you open the book, the notebook, there's a left side and a right side. And there's some very specific things that go on that left side and that go on that right side. Now here are some of the benefits. And I agree with most all of these. The one that I don't, is the one that the least benefit that's listed here is the fostering of literacy skills. I would say it contributes to the development of literacy skills, but not necessarily as strongly as some of the other categories. For example, organization. This is great for organization. Why? Because all the work you're doing is in this notebook. So sometimes you'll have papers just all over the place. You may have a binder, and especially homeschool facilitators are very good about being organized and having binders and folders and whatnot. But it's still a great tool for organization. It definitely develops the thinking skills, and you'll see how in a moment. Creativity. This is one of the greatest benefits that I really, really like, is that it allows for a lot of creative demonstration of understanding. And then, of course, as I said, I believe at the beginning, it really does provide a portfolio throughout a school year. So, you know, when it comes time to, you know, to show what you've done, or maybe you need to, you know, apply for a scholarship or you know, show the work that you've done, you have a portfolio that has the work that demonstrates the things that you're learning and how you understand those things. So these are some of the great benefits, I believe, in this notebook and that I've had a chance to bear witness to. I'll skip that one. So here we go. They've done some research, and you may be familiar with this whole left brain, right brain business that folks talk about. And there's some credence to it in that we all have a creative side, we all have a very logical side, and some of us are more logical than creative, and vice versa. And so what this notebook does is it kind of allows for clear organization and demonstration of both, I don't want to say both sides, but both aspects of the student, the creative and the logical. And I'll figure out how to share this to where you can access it and look at it on your own. So here's a key thing here, the left side, right side. So the left side of the notebook is the student output. This is where we do our warm-ups. This is where they answer questions. This is where they share ideas. This is where they do their reflections. So that whole left side of that notebook, all throughout, is basically them, the students' work, their output, what is coming out of their minds based on what they're studying. And the right side are basically like instructions, or sometimes they're notes, or you can use it for video notes. So basically that's like the teacher side, or the facilitator side. These are the things that we're giving you to do, what we want you to do, and certain lab activities, certain aspects go on the right side, and usually the conclusions to those labs go on the left side. So there's a lot of flexibility here. I want to say that straight up. There's a lot of flexibility. You can pretty much do this notebook how you want to have it to use, but this particular way of doing it, I've done it for a couple of years now, and I really see a lot of value in it, and it really helps me as a teacher to quickly go through and focus in on what the students are gaining from the instruction, and as a result, what they're producing. I'll let you read that. It basically just kind of reiterates what we've said. And there's a site with some links that has some more information. And again, I'll make this available some kind of way, whatever is most effective for this forum. And now I will try to unshare my screen. Here we go. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I want to unshare my screen. There we go. Praise be to Allah. Okay, so hopefully that kind of came through okay. All right, praise be to Allah. All right, so now I'm going to show you an example of some students' notebooks, and then talk a little bit about it. And again, if you have more interest in that, again, I can maybe set up another session. We can set up another session and go about doing that. Okay, so here is the cover of one of the notebooks of a student, and I really encourage the students to really take ownership, and one ways that they do that is just by decorating the cover some kind of way. So this particular student, I guess, likes the Disney movie Frozen, and so they put some lyrics from the Frozen movie. I kind of like that movie too myself, but don't tell people. All right, moving on. So now, as you open it up, okay, you may not necessarily have a syllabus, but I have one, but this demonstrates this point. And I wish I could fit all of this on here like that. Oh, that's not good. All right, so it's okay if you can't read that, no worries. But the main thing I want to demonstrate is that a fact that a whole sheet of paper fits in here without sticking out. Because if you get a wide rule notebook, or even a college rule, one of those little smaller ones, you'll have handouts that'll stick out all over the place and they become a mess. So you definitely want to make sure, like if you look at a Mead 5-star notebook, that works. Okay, but you can compare that to any. I got 3 at Costco for like cheap. Well, not cheap, but it was like, you know, a good price. So something like that would work. So a couple other things that I'll show from this is great. A table of contents. So what I do is I just have a template on a Word document. Whoa, here we go. And basically, there are certain pages, like these first 5 pages to me are like super critical for me personally, because it's your table of contents. I guess I can come down a wee bit. Oh, I can just zoom. I forgot I could just zoom with it. Let's see. Bam. Okay. So, again, I have this on a Word document. I know that's crooked. I can see it's crooked. Okay. Let me hit a little focus there. Okay. So, table of contents is super important. Actually, this wouldn't necessarily apply. This is something that I give the students that's an online assignment. But this left side pages, right side pages piece, I'm going to go over that a little bit. But basically, everything that we do, the student is required to write down what is on that page. So they're building not just a portfolio, they're building a book that they're writing. So this is a book of their work. And again, you can use this in any subject area. You can use it in social studies. There are social studies teachers that use this. So in any subject, you could use a notebook and have one notebook per subject if you wanted to. So table of contents. And then I'm going to skip to this whole left side, right side pages piece. Okay, so this is another page here where I have some cutouts, or I have them cut it out. They get a sheet of paper that tells them, reminds them what kind of work belongs on the left side of their book and the right side of their book. And again, we'll make this available. So again, it just goes over those kinds of things: student output, brainstorming, pictures, diagrams, colors. I emphasize colors. The world we live in is not black and white. So I emphasize colors just in regular everyday work. And so that's important. There's a rubric here that's included that basically shows how that's going to be evaluated. You know, neatness, completeness, and anything extra that you do. And then on the right side, I apologize if I'm going kind of fast, but again, I'll make all of this available. And if you have any questions, I believe there's a way for us to address those questions. So here's right side. Again, teacher input, the things that the facilitator is giving the student to do as far as instructions, sometimes notes, or sometimes notes they'll take from books. Because books, when they take notes, they're taking notes from somebody else's work. So basically that goes on the right side. Okay, so in video notes. Again, that's not your output, you're taking notes. So that would go on the right side. So that's anything that you're getting from outside sources, that goes on the right. I hadn't said that before just like that. And I wish I would have said it to my students. But yes, anything that you're getting from outside sources, it could be teacher, it could be internet, anything that you're going to use, that you're going to produce some work based off of, that would go on the right side. Okay. And then what I also have them do, here's a case where they have now the opportunity to demonstrate their understanding of something. So one of the first assignments that I then give them, and this will be difficult to see, I already know because it's in colored pencil, but I'm going to go ahead and put it here anyway and do my best to make it visible. Maybe if I turn the light off of it, I don't know. Ooh, that did look better for me, and I can barely see it because it's a little bitty screen.
Yes, sir. That's a good one. That's a good view.
Okay, and I'll even zoom a tad. Try to zoom a tad. All right, I better leave it alone right there. No, not that way. That way. Okay, so what the students had to do then is to now make a T chart. Okay, make a T chart labeled left side pages, right side pages. And then they had to show what kinds of work go on the left side of your notebook, what kind go on the right side of your notebook. And they had to do it with at least 3 colors and at least 3 pictures. And so this person drew a Venn diagram, which when you go back, you see Venn diagrams are a part of that left side. They drew a T-chart, which is good, on the left side. And on the right side, they wrote notes, lab activities, and then looks like some other stuff that they got from the teacher or something like that. So then there's a case where they had an opportunity to demonstrate their work. I think I have another one here. Yeah, here's another one. So here's one again where the student had an opportunity to do it and they chose homework. Let me focus it, make sure it's focused. All right, so they chose homework, brainstorm, like that. Some people draw brain and storm, I like it. Venn diagram, notes, pictures. Oh, they did this backwards though. Yeah, they put right side on the left and left side on the right. You know, but they tried. They're learning. But you see the point. They made an effort to demonstrate what belongs on what side. So they actually did good. They just labeled this wrong, which is okay. They're learning. They're young. All right, so that's that. One more thing from the notebook. I guess oh, this is too much. Well, I'll show this. This is something called Grandma's House. This is especially useful in language arts, but I use it a great deal in science because it shows 3 levels of thinking, and it has words that are related to those 3 levels. So in level 1, you have these words. Level 2, a little higher, you have these. And then level 3, yet higher. Now you're getting into prediction, predicting, speculating, forecasting, idealizing, imagining, evaluating. So these are like some of the highest levels of thinking. So when you're doing these things, you know you're doing higher level stuff. When you're dealing with these kinds of questions, you're dealing with higher level thought. So it's one thing to ask somebody to list something. You know, list the chapters from the Holy Quran. Okay, they can do that. Then they may have to, on another level, distinguish some things. And I guess I should keep it science. You know, they may have to distinguish between several flowers or whatever. You know, what's the difference between them? Okay, then they may have to predict, you get higher up, they may have to predict, you know, what the offspring, you know, of a parent is going to look like, you know, based on using Punnett squares or something. So when you're up here and you're doing predictions and imagining and judging and evaluating, that's a higher level of thought. So I do something with that I won't get into right now. But I will get into this. And this will be the last thing I believe I'll talk about with regards to this notebook, and then we'll move on. And that is note-taking. And since this is note-taking, this is on the right-hand side. And I'm trying to make sure, give me a thumbs up if you can see 3 columns. Can you see 3 columns? No? Okay. Let me try to focus it. Maybe I need to zoom out. No. Oh, whoa, whoa, leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone. Okay. All right, so it may be difficult to see. Let me focus it now that I'm here at this particular level. It may be difficult to see, but these are notes on the scientific method or the scientific process. And so we have 3 columns. These are, you may be familiar with Cornell notes. They're becoming more and more popular. And this is a modified form of Cornell notes that I use. And basically, I have a student. Where's the other student at? Let me see. Oh, it's the one underneath. The student underneath is in a program where she knows how to use Cornell notes, so I allow her just to go ahead and use them, just so long as what I require is there within those notes. And this might be even more visible because she actually highlighted. Oh, I can see that, I think. No, not that way, this way. Okay, so here there's only 2 columns. You have this column that has main ideas and questions, and then this column that has explanations or examples. And at the bottom of both, even the modified and the non-modified, is a summary. There we go. This person squeezed it in on the page. So at the bottom of the notes is a summary that it basically is a summary of these notes in sentences, usually anywhere from 3 to 4 sentences long. So you have main ideas and questions, and then these, and they're lined up side by side. So the first one here, you may not be able to see it, but it says explore and discover. And so what does that mean? It means to make observations. It means to ask questions. It means to do research. It means to share information. So that's all involved with explore and discover. Okay? And then this student, I have them to write questions that are tied into that, and I'll get to those in a moment. So this is the classic Cornell, I guess you could say. And then I made the adjustment to where, come on now. I made the adjustment to where I preferred to have the ideas, the examples, and then the questions separate from the ideas, because then it looks clearer for me. Clearer for me. And then they have their summary at the bottom. And so what I have them to do, and this person did a good job, is I have them to come up with a statement or a question that is related to these notes. And I have them to use the various levels of what what is called Grandma's House by some. And that's the 3 levels of questioning from that back page. So for example, this person, hope it's good because I'm about to read it, but you don't know their name, so. Okay, here we go. They used the word list. It'd been better if they used the word define, but they said list. Oh, list one or more meaning. That's not bad, actually. List one or more meaning of the word hypothesis. Okay, so that's like a level 1 question. So now they can go back into their notes. So these are the things they can ask themselves, or they would ask the classmate, and then they could go back in here, and then they could find where hypothesis is, and they could deal with it. The next one I like, compare the actual and expected results. And so that goes back into this one right here, testing ideas. And so that person can make the connection that this is all a part of testing ideas. And then the 3rd level is predict if your hypothesis is supported or not. And I love that that person did that, because I certainly emphasize the fact that when we make hypotheses, which is basically a testable idea, so we run into a problem, and then we make an observation, and then we have an idea as to what we could do to figure out what the problem is. And students are so quick to say, ooh, my hypothesis was right, or my hypothesis was wrong. No, we don't talk like that. As scientists, we say it was either supported or not supported. And so somebody might feel bad if, well, my hypothesis was wrong. No, if your hypothesis was not supported, that's a good thing. That's a wonderful thing, because now you know that you can make another idea. So it's not about right or wrong, it's whether or not it was supported or not supported. And so this person did a very good job saying predict if your hypothesis is going to be supported or not supported. So I'm glad to see this person do that. And so so here's notes, okay? And then a lot of times with the notes, what we then do, this is on the right side, we then go to the left side, and I kind of try as much as possible. It doesn't always work, but I try to keep like an open book to be like a day, or a lesson rather. Okay, so I know this is like not fitting properly, but oops. Okay, just imagine. Left side, oh, that is the left side. Okay, left side, right side. Okay, we just took notes on the right side. So then what I have them come back and do is now, okay, I want you to just put together a diagram or some pictures that show what these notes are about. And so this person did analysis and feedback. Whereas if you go back to analysis and feedback, it says discussion with peers, feedback from peers, making conclusions. And so I'm not going to zoom now, but here you got a couple peers, and this person is saying something. You know, I know the answer, this, that, and the other. And this person saying, okay, tell me, what'd you get? Okay, and this is what grade is this? This is 7th grade. So this is what, 12, 13-year-olds, just so you know. So naturally you might expect more from higher level students, and maybe expect a little less, but not much with the younger ones, because you know, they surprise us all the time with what they can do. But you know the ability of the students that you're working with. So yeah, just so for frame of reference, this is 7th grade work. So here we got analysis and feedback, testing ideas, and explore and discover. The person drew a magnifying glass. Okay? And so again, that's an example of getting some input either from me or something that they research, and now they're presenting it in a way. And of course you can go beyond that, and of course, you know, in science you have experiments and whatnot, and with one of the lessons that I'm going to show you kind of how you can do that in your notebook, as far as recording information and whatnot. And there's a lot more to this notebook, little tricks, but I think I'll stop there with regards to the notebook and move on to the first lesson. It actually took me a little longer than I thought, which is usually the case, but we will work to kind of try to speed things up. At this point, I would have loved to been able to kind of pause and see if we have any questions, but I'm afraid that maybe the delay is too great for the audience. Maybe I'll just kind of see if there are any questions and see if anything pops like really fast, and if not, then it's because I don't see it. And if I don't see it, it must be because there's a delay. Do I need to go to the questions tab instead of group chat now? Or no?
No, sir. No.
Okay, I'll just stay here.
Okay, yes,
All
sir.
right. So I'm just going to wait just a few moments, not long, and it's just because maybe there's a delay. Let me unshare my screen. I mean switch cameras rather. Integrated camera. Okay. All right. Well, I don't see any questions right now, and it may be because there's a delay. So we'll go ahead and proceed. And we'll go to the first lesson. So first thing we wanted to share was the notebook. So we'd like to share 2 lessons and 1 strategy or practice of teaching that we hope will be beneficial. So the first lesson that we'd like to share is a lesson that deals with astronomy. And while it just came to my mind, I'm going to interrupt myself and say that I'm sure there is one question that a lot of people have right now. And that is, Brother Bobby, where did you get that slamming tie that you are wearing right now? That bow tie, that is so sharp. I am so distracted right now because I have to know where you got that bow tie. Okay, so let me say that this is, let me get closer. This right here is an Allende. So I say that like when you see people walk and you say, oh, those are some Jordans, or those are some Calvin Kleins. Well, this is an Allende, and this is one of my favorite ties. I love it. It's great quality, and so I highly recommend that if you want to get down and look like that, then you got to get you an Allende. All right. So with that, moving on. Okay. First lesson: astronomy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the scope of the teachings of Master Farad Muhammad is astronomy. Now, I don't know what all that means, but I do have an astronomy lesson that I'm going to share that I really like, and it's a universe scaling activity, or an activity where you draw the universe to scale. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the document cam and show you the setup for this. And I don't have these on software on the drive right now, because some of it I have in paper and some of it I have like on my computer. And so I have to put that together better. And so I will do that and make that available. So I'm going to switch to the document camera. Okay, where am I? Okay, ooh, not bad. So I'm going to come down here, and you're seeing part of the page. I want you to see the top, because, okay, let's say this is a day. This is a page, left side, and then of course there's a right side. So this activity is actually, the actual project is too big to fit in the notebook, but the work for the project fits in the notebook just fine. So what we have is, I normally start off with a warm-up. Okay, so for example, I might as well do this right, as good as I can. I am going to have to share my screen again. Pretty soon I'm going to get good at this. Okay, I hope you can see that. Because I'm going kind of fast now, I'm getting cocky. Okay, here we go. So this is a warm-up. That would go at the top of the top half of a left side page. So it says do now warm up. You can read it. Okay, so basically they are, just getting them warmed up. What do you know about the solar system? What's interesting to you? Why? Something is going to be interesting. So you give them a chance to do that. So that's our warm up. Okay, now we come back to, oh, I did come back. How'd I do that? Okay, well, I'm not going to, okay, here we go. So now you can see the rubric now. So this is the rubric. This is how they can self-evaluate, which is key. That's actually one of the core practices is self-evaluation and self-editing, but that's not the one I'm going to talk about. But this is definitely a way that they can self-evaluate. They can look at this for themselves and say, okay, am I on point? Am I not on point? Okay, so this is worth 40. It's worth 40. I know I added something for something else, and maybe it'll come to me later. I don't remember. But for right now, this is the rubric. So the most highest, the advanced score is if you draw your distances correct, if you draw your diameters correct, if your facts are written incorrect, 2 facts per planet, and if you have at least 4 colors, and the planets are labeled. So right there, a student knows what they have to do, what he or she has to do to achieve the highest possible mark on all 4 levels. And when I think of that other one that I added, I'll add that to the mix as well. But it just escapes me right this second. Okay, so this is the rubric. So that gives the student an idea of what the success criteria is, as they say, and they try to sound all intelligent. It's basically how do you know, what does success look like? It looks like that. Okay, all right, so now that's the left side. Okay, and even though I gave this to them, I put it on the left side just because I wanted to keep it on 2 pages. So here's a case where, you make little adjustments where you need to. It's not like you have to do it exactly on every page. It's only student work. You make adjustments. For the most part, though, I keep this left side entirely for the student. But here's an example where I made an exception, an adjustment, just because of how I wanted it to look when they opened up that notebook to both pages. So then we go to this piece. And this is very important that this is clear and readable. Okay, and there we go. And again, I wish I had this just to be able to share it from the drive, because then I know it would be super clear. So how does that look? Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, so now what I've done is I've given them a chart. And this is where you can vary the difficulty. What I've done is I've given them the distance of the various planets from the sun using the problem book. And I emphasize the problem book, especially when we talk about Pluto. But you could have them look it up themselves if you have a copy of the problem book. I've also given them, and this is actually an 8th grade lesson, so I've given them the diameter, but again, if you wanted to make it more difficult, you make them look up the diameters from the problem book, because again, when you get to Pluto, you'll have some problems. So you can have them look it up. I chose to give them to them because of time. And so this gives you the information of the diameter, the distance, and the diameter. Now in science, scientists made up this unit. They just made it up, and they said the Earth is equal to 1. They just made that up. They just made it up. Earth is equal to 1. So how far is the Earth from the sun? 1. They just made it up. Okay, that's all they did, and they call that an astronomical unit. So they say the Earth is 1 AU away from the sun. And so based on that and these distances, you can calculate. You can have them do that too. If you got some high school students, hey, make them do all that. Give them a little bit, make them do the rest. So it's up to you. That's where you have some flexibility. You know the ability of the students you're working with. So based on these distances, Mercury, for example, is about, it's only a third the distance of Earth, for example. And I won't get into all that right now. But here are the astronomical units for all of the planets, including Pluto. Again, based on the problem book figures. I have over here, I wasn't going to show this, but I have over here what science books say. And that's I have to have that there because that's the books that I have in a public school setting. But I give them this, and I just tell them it's from a super wise scientist, and I give them the option of which one they want to do. And a lot of them actually do, they do big Pluto, which I like. So anyway. Okay, so now here's the instructions. So here's the instructions for the drawings. And I talked about this 1AU that they just made up to make it easy. It's called a non-standard measure, really, to make it easy. So now, this first one, and I'm not going to do this whole thing. I'm just going to give one little example, show you an example. And this is the one that you probably won't be ready to just to roll with. You might. This one will require a little bit, probably, explanation that I'm going to take this evening. But I at least want to give you an idea of what it is, show you an example, and that way you can really decide if you want to do it. We can set up another session to explain it probably more clear than I'm going to do right now. So now you have to do some calculations. Because in order to draw this to scale, we have to draw the planets in centimeters. In centimeters. And so, for example, here, Mercury. We want to know how far to draw it from the sun in centimeters. So when I show you the example, it'll be much more clear. Now, matter of fact, I'm going to show you the example now, because I want to show you what the final product looks like, because then this will make more sense. So I'm going to try to go to my drive and back up and show you this. I'll show you this one, and then I'll show you another one. Please play. Let me go Super HD. Okay, so I pray Allah you can see that. I can still see you, Sister Kadara, so if you give me a thumbs up, if you can see it. Can you see that? Oh, boo. All right, what do I have to do? Oh, I have to go to the other camera. This was, oh no, that didn't do it either. So you still can't see that? It worked so well when we practiced. Maybe I need to share my screen. Let's try that. How about now? How about now?
I see a black.
Let me back it up and reload it or something. Let's see.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
You can see it now? Praise be to Allah. That's what happens when you try to be all fancy with two cameras. You need to keep it basic, Muhammad. Okay, so here we go. So now, before I play it, here you have the sun, which is the only thing not to scale. So really, what I prefer is how the second group did it, and they just do the sun like straight down. Because there's really no curve that close. It's just straight. You don't even get to the curve part yet. But that's okay. But the planets are to scale. So when I play this, and I'm going to have to set it, I want it to be super high def. Okay. So there you can see the first 4 planets. I hope you can see the first 4 planets drawn to scale, a little off, but that's okay. To scale, because Mercury would actually be a little closer, and you'll see why. There you got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Now as you play this, the distances are again to scale, meaning the distances, if Mercury was that big, then that's how far Venus, Earth, and Mars would be, and so on. So watch this. There's no sound because it's just children in the back talking and making noise. So there's Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, and then we gotta go. Then we get to Jupiter. See, and that puts Jupiter in greater perspective, because then when you back up, and this is all about perspective and scope. Scope means you have a perspective of things. And that's why I think this is valuable, because we talk about Pluto, but you really don't necessarily have a perspective unless you can visualize it very well, which many can do. But then when you put it on paper, then you can demonstrate it and share it. So there's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter. Then you get to Saturn. You got to keep on going. Then you finally get to your Uranus. And you got to keep on going. And you get to Neptune finally. But then you got to keep on going. Keep on going. Keep on going. Keep on going. And you finally get to Pluto. Now look how big Pluto is.
Wow.
You know, to scale. So there's Pluto. Let's go back to the Earth. Look at the Earth compared to Pluto. What? Are you serious? What? That's serious. So when you see that, it's like, whoa. You know, that's a powerful demonstration. Okay? So I'm going to keep my screen shared because I want to show you the paper that we use while I have this. So I don't have to keep going back and forth. And I hope you can still see that rather. So this is some paper. Basically, it's the rolled paper that you can get at like any kind of like a teacher store or whatever. We have a Mardel's here. And basically 12 feet, 48 inches wide. If you cut that in half lengthwise, the 12 feet, actually 12 feet is enough. You probably could have two there. You could probably have two groups, or two students could do it separately. It's kind of a nice project to do as a group. I usually do them with groups of 3 or 4 because it's a pretty big project. But that's the kind of paper we're talking about. You know, white or yellow works well on that. So were you able to see that, sister? Okay, good. Okay, and then other things are like colored pencils and, you know, scissors, measuring tape. And again, this is one that, you know, I'll put together even better so you have a list of stuff. And then book or the problem book with information about the planets that's accurate. And then that's helpful. Okay, so now that you've seen what the final outcome is going to look like, let's go back and see how do you get them to that point. And we're already at an hour. Wow, I better hurry up. Maybe I'll cut out the second lesson because I don't want to go long and I've already gone too long. Okay, so now I want to switch cameras. And I'm still screen sharing, so get that off. Okay, I think that's showing up. All right, excellent. Okay, so now how do we get these figures? You'll have this table. And so down here it says to calculate, or to calculate conversion in centimeters for drawing distance. So it's going to be different for diameter. But for the distance, all you got to do is multiply the distance by 10 centimeters. So when you go up here to Mercury, for example, you have 0.39, you multiply that by 10, and you get 3.9. You follow me? So basically what that would mean is, if this is the sun, then you would take your measuring tape, okay, and what did I say? 3.9, which is about 4 centimeters. So somewhere around here, you could put like a little dot and say, well, Mercury is somewhere around there as far as distance. Okay? And then to figure out diameter, you have to divide the diameter in kilometers by 10,000. Divide the distance in kilometers by 10,000. And so For Mercury again, you get 4828 kilometers, which you can either look up, or you have to convert the miles, which you can just do. Google does that. Google does a lot. All right, and then divided by 10,000 equals 0.48 centimeters, which is basically half a centimeter. So then that tells you that when we're drawing this to scale, Mercury's, oops, did I do that right? Yes. Mercury's diameter is about a half of a centimeter. And so you just do that, bam, and there's Mercury. And so you would do that for all of the planets. And then I tell them to do it like in light pencil so you can come back and color it and whatnot, so you don't have all these lines going across the middle like that, like ugly like mine is right now. I just did it in pen so you could see it. And so drawn to scale in centimeters, that's how far Mercury is from the sun, and then you would go on and do the rest of the planets in the exact same fashion. And before you even do all of that, though, you do all of this, you make sure they have all of this correct. And so I have my answer key just to make sure, so I can, you know, check their work. So it's always nice. It's a lot of work to have answer keys and teacher versions, but they're so helpful because that way, you know, you can just, you don't have to keep doing the calculations yourself all the time. And if you wanted to draw, think about this. If you wanted to draw the sun to scale, hopefully I did this right. I believe I did. Then, like Mercury is half a centimeter in diameter, and it would come out like that. If you did the sun, and you could do this, I thought about this, you know, you could do this like on a sidewalk or something, or a wall, you know, washables, you know, use washables, you know, but you could do this like on a sidewalk, parking lot, and then you could draw the sun, and that would be nice. I would love to see what that would look like, because the sun would have a diameter of 137 centimeters. So that's almost like a meter stick and a half. So you'd have a meter stick and a half as a diameter, draw a big circle like in a parking lot somewhere, and then compare that to little Mercury, and that would really give you a perspective. That would be neat. I would love for somebody to do that and then video it. That would be awesome. Because you could use chalk or mark, you know how you can write on sidewalks and stuff? That would be cool. All right, so I just had that on there. So basically, you fill all of this out, you get your paper together, and you go to work, and you draw that to scale, and everything you want to have on there is in your rubric, 2 facts from each planet, colors, and everything drawn to scale, and you're good. You're good to go. And this usually takes about, I would say, maybe, I've had some groups that really rolled on it. They could get it done like in less than an hour and a half. So roughly you're looking at about 90 minutes to do that, maybe 2 hours. And then if you got folks that lollygag, you know, it might take a little longer, but roughly that's about how long it takes. And so that's basically the solar system project, which I really like. So again,
wow.
So again, I don't know if there's any questions that any folks want to type.
Yes, sir, Brother Bobby. We actually did get a question that came in while you were, because of the delay again.
Okay.
Well, basically, a viewer just asked, how can we get the grandma house diagram? Like, where did you get that? Is that something online? Where did you get that from?
Okay, let me.
Can we access that?
Yeah, let me switch cameras so I can be respectful and look into the camera. And then I need to. Come on, Bobby. Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you're looking at me now? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Actually, I can just send it to you. because I have
Okay.
it saved. And that's one thing I have on PDF, and I can very easily share that. It's not mine. I didn't create it. I just found it. And so, yep, I can just make that available along with anything else that I've shown you this evening.
So are those part of, because you said that the grandma's house is 3 levels of thinking?
It is, and it's attributed to, and I have that on there too, because you always want to pay credit to where you get stuff from. And so even in the notebook, I make sure I put it in there.
Okay, so then do you define some of the higher level of thinking terminology? Like, do you go through the whole list with them? Like, how do you introduce that to your students?
Okay, that's a great question. Let me go back to the camera, though, so I can show you a little easier. And I'll show you exactly what I do. Okay, so here's Grandma's house. I'm going to zoom out. It's okay if you can't read it.
Right.
All right. I'm going to try to raise this up just a tad. Okay, so here's the house. And basically, the student cuts out. It's all on one page. And so what I do is I have them cut out the house, okay, which has 3 stories, 3 levels. This is called the 3-story intellect. It's a graphic organizer for Costa's levels of questioning. So this dude, Costa, whoever he is, I guess gets credit for this. So the house I flip up just to make it cool, I guess. You got to make stuff cool for young people, otherwise they ain't trying to do nothing. Okay. So then you got your 3 levels, level 1, level 2, and level 3. So there's lots of words in each level. So what I do is I use whiteboards initially, and I say, okay, and you can just take a piece of white, like cardboard, and stick it in a sheet protector, and that becomes a whiteboard, just like that. As y'all already know, homeschoolers, y'all down with all those shortcuts. So I have them on a whiteboard. I'll say, okay, using level 1 word, I want you to give me a question or a statement that starts with that word. It has to start with that word, and it has to be science related. Okay, so they'll say, all right, and they come up with, they'll say, describe photosynthesis, or describe how photosynthesis works in a plant. So that's level 1. They use the word describe. They put it first. And so I have them practice that on whiteboards. I'll do that for level 1, 2, and 3. And so that's a way to kind of, because they always writing on paper and notebooks, it gets old. So
right.
They love to write on whiteboards. They love it. And so that's one thing that I do. And then after that, we still got to have some evidence in that notebook. I don't care what you're doing on the whiteboard. They got to have evidence in the notebook. So then what I do, okay, going back to this page, here's Grandma's house. Grandma's house is on the right, okay? And then on the left, underneath that, okay, is that readable? Or no, I can zoom. How about now? Is that readable?
That's fine. Oh, whoa. Okay, yes. Okay.
Is that good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I do, then I come over here, and again, I got this idea from another person that uses Grandma's house. So then I go 3, 2, 1. 3 because 3rd floor is up. They a lot of times want to go 1, 2, 3. But no, it's a house. 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor. So as you go up, it's higher. And so what I do is I have them to then give me 4 examples of what we just practiced on the whiteboards, again, science related for each level. And I make them color it some kind of way because it just makes it more alive. So they have imagine what the weather is going to be like. For level 2, compare the 2 hypotheses. And for level 1, list the parts of the scientific method below. So these are just different statements and questions that when they see these kinds of questions, they pretty much can already know right off the bat. So this is good for like standardized tests and whatnot, or any kind of test. They can see, okay, what level am I operating at? If somebody's asking me to evaluate something or imagine something, okay, well, I got to go deep. If they're just saying list it, that's just, okay, I'm just listing this, that, and the other. So that's what I do, and it works pretty well. So they get to grandma's house, and they practice it on whiteboards, and then they practice it here. And then we use it in the notes from there on. So then what I actually do is, I'll show you what I do. In that third column, that has the questions from the notes, if you recall, what I'll do is at the top of that, I'll just go, I'll say 3, 2, 1, and then maybe I'll go 1, 2, 1 like that. And so what that tells the student to do is they have to, based on those notes, they got to write 1 level 3, 2 level 2s, and 1 level 1. You follow me?
Yes, sir, kinda.
And so I try to do as much as possible to have like little simple things I can just write down so I don't have to say stuff 10,000 times.
Okay.
What are we supposed to do? What I'm supposed to, look, man, 3, 2, 1. I need 1 level 3, 2 level 2s, 1 level 1. It's right there. We've been doing this for like a week now. Okay, so then that just makes it quick. So if you have a bunch of children, you got 3 children you're dealing with, you can be like, all right, you may have a real young one or something, and you may say, okay, no level 3s, just give me 1 of these and 1 of these. But then you have another one, you may have an all-star, so you may say, no, I want 8 of those. Well, you wouldn't do that, but you get my point.
Yes,
so
sir.
Right there, it's real easy to give 3 different. You may have 3 children in the household. You can give them the same assignment, 3 different levels, and it's real easy.
Yes, sir. Brother Bobby, what?
So hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, sir. No, you did. And then it leads me to this other question of how do you come up with, like, what are some of the resources that you use to, like, find this activity? Maybe you can share with the homeschooler, schooling educators, what are some of the resources that you would recommend to come up with activities like this one? Even the drawing to scale. Like, how did you find that? What do you, what resources did you get those from?
Okay, great question. The greatest resource is colleagues, other teachers, other folks that are homeschooling, because we come across stuff all the time, and then we try it, and we're like, wow, this is pretty decent. But then we have to have a place to where we can share, and we already do. We just have to do more of it, because I've seen that we have different subjects, and then when you go in there, it's not really a lot of stuff. So we gotta try to get more stuff in there, and connect more with those that are in the classroom. So that's one of the I guess benefits of being in the deaf school system, is that at least you have access to stuff, so you can then share it. I don't like when you're looking at the grid like that while I'm talking. To me, that's just not polite. Okay, there we go. So having colleagues and just sharing stuff. So I got that from a colleague, and then I just adapted it for our use, because I didn't want to deal with book Pluto, what I call book Pluto, so I just adapted it and added some stuff to it to make it more relevant for our needs. But that's the greatest resource. And then there are different links. The other thing I was going to share with you is one of the links. And since that question came up, that link that I was going to share has a great deal of activities that you could do like right now.
Okay, so what's that?
So there are some very good websites, because when you get too many websites, you're like, oh my God, it's just too many, But there's one in particular that I found to be very good, that I was going to show you here shortly.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay. So you're going to share that link with us?
I can. I know I'm almost out of time, but
yes, sir. In like 15 minutes. So then Allende he's in the chat room right now to see if we're getting any more questions in. So we're gonna monitor the chat room still. So Isabel, did you have something very quickly? Did you have okay.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Well,
what curriculum do you use at your presently with your children, with your school, the 7th and 8th graders?
We use Colorado core standards right now. So basically, whatever state you're in, that's pretty much the standards that you use. It's my understanding that MUI in Chicago uses the one out of, I want to say the one out of
Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts, because they're pretty much recognized as having one of the best school systems.
Right.
And so, that makes sense. Until we develop our own, then you use the best of what's available. But yeah, so that's the one we use. To me, it's not ideal. I have some other thoughts on what I would like to see, but that's what I'm using right now.
So what's the name of the textbook that you use? Do you use a manual or a textbook?
We have a textbook. I don't use it a lot. I don't really like it that much. But it's Glencoe. I'm in my classroom now. It's a Glencoe book, but the textbooks are just not really that great, to be very honest.
Do you find that you use like several things that you like and you just kind of put them together?
Absolutely. So I'll look at a subject area. For example, one of the things that I'm not going to present, I'm not going to do it right now. But for example, properties of waves, like light waves and whatnot, and energy. And so part of what I did in Ohio is we try to find ways that we could make things very interactive, and in fact mainly and I taught physics as well, to teach it inquiry based, to where they had to, and I still think that's the best way to teach science, is to do it by inquiry, where you have something, you give this to them and you say, okay, well, drop it. What happened? Why? And you just drill them on that process. It's a lot of work for the student and facilitator until the students get into the rhythm of that kind of process. So I have found that to be much more effective to look at a phenomenon that you want to teach. So if it's gravity, and to craft exercises that engage the students in basically doing this or seeing this, and then asking them, why do you think that's happening? And having them to figure out different things instead of giving them the information up front.
Yeah.
Brother Bobby, how would you advise a homeschool educator like myself whose science background maybe isn't that strong? So now I can say, have my students ask, or I ask the students questions all day long, but now what am I going to give them in the end? You know what I mean? Like, am I going to give them something of substance? And how can I do that if I don't have a strong science background? So what would you recommend for?
That's a great question. And as you shared with the group, my background was really in biology. I took some physics classes, but really I was strongest in biology. And then I got put into a high school environment, and I was the only physics teacher in the school. And basically what I did is I had to be a student just like my students were students.
Right.
And so it's kind of even almost like coaching. When you're coaching, you're really trying to encourage them to really grow. So you ask them the questions and you trying to figure it out too. And it's okay to be that way, and to realize, and my students ask me questions all the time, and I don't hardly tell them nothing. I basically tell them where to go get the information, or I tell them to do it. I may know the answer, but that's not the point. I've already graduated. Why are you asking me? You need to find out the process by which you get information and evaluated it. And especially in science, I'm not a textbook. What I look like? You hit a button and I give you answers? No, that's not how this works. How it works is you have to learn how to process information. You have to know how to explore information. So you can do that. So you point them in that direction, and you're saying, okay, these are the things that you need to do, and you have to put them to work. So you don't have to be an expert. I was never an expert in physics. But I was pretty good at facilitating and helping them, lesson by lesson or skill by skill. And a lot of times I was learning the skills at the same time.
I really like what you shared about the inquiry base, because I find that when they're about 5, 6, 7 years old, all my children, and of course, all the homeschoolers can relate to this, they have so many questions. Why is this? Why is that? And of course, I don't have all the answers.
Right.
And so, as I'm planning my year this year, and my our child is the number 3, she's 6, and she has questions every 20 minutes.
Yep.
And so I actually got her a notebook, and it's called her question book.
Nice.
So when she has a question and I don't know it, because I can't stop cooking or, you know, getting something prepared. I said, go write that question down, and when we get together for our homeschool time, then we're going to research it. We're going to find out. Because she's got questions, and they're amazing.
I bet.
They're amazing questions, and you don't want to forget them. So I have her notebook handy. Go write it down before you forget. That way we're going to sit down, because they're fabulous. I mean, that's just Allah inspiring them through all the things they go throughout their day, you know, and this is what's in their mind, and it's so special. I mean, that's why I love homeschooling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So as a facilitator, and I never like to use the word teacher. I would always use the word facilitator, because my job is to help you to find out what it is you're trying to learn or you want to learn. So it's like, okay, how can we go find this out? You know, so, you know, why do butterflies do that? Well, let's go to the zoo, or let's go to those butterfly thingies where all there's butterflies and stuff, and let's talk to some experts and let's have some experiences. And that's one of the great things about homeschooling, is that you have so much flexibility. Yeah, it's a lot more work and responsibility, but the flexibility is just so huge.
Yes.
And the resources are limited, but like I said, you got to focus on those positives.
Yeah.
You know, really maximize that opportunity.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, so it's 9:22. We have about 5 more minutes. So I'm not getting anything from Brother Allende. I keep trying to check down below on these little tabs to see if we're getting any questions from our audience. I think everything has been very clear.
Okay.
I'm going to actually I don't know if you saw in the chat room, Brother Bobby, when you said, you know, it would be so cool if somebody did that scale the sun drawing. So I think that was a hint to us, Sister Isabel, to homeschoolers, to get out in the parking lot and go draw the sun.
That would be nice, because, you know,
Yes.
I may do it myself. You know,
Yes.
I thought about how cool that would be. So let me real quick to share one link. I'm not going to explain.
Okay, go
it
ahead,
here
brother. Yes,
or
sir. Go
anything.
ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. I want to share that screen, just like that. And then I'm going to open this and show you this website. Okay, this is called Wave on a String, and this comes out of Colorado. It's University of Boulder, and they have a lot of great labs. And so this is one of the websites that I definitely recommend to homeschoolers that have internet and whatnot. And so this is called Wave on a String. I do this lab myself with my students. Below you'll see there's a PDF. And the PDF, you can just download. It looks like this, and basically you just go step by step. So it says step 1, bam. So let's say I go to the website. You start there. You run it. I'm going fast because I know it's being recorded. And you first of all, you just let them play with stuff. Let them play with stuff and just do stuff and just do whatever. And then what you do is you go back to the PDF and go step by step. And I print this out for them, and they go through, they follow the steps, and they write down the results, and then they go through and they get some information on waves and whatnot. So that's one link that's available, and I will stop with that. And the only other thing that I'll say very quickly is that the one principle that I was going to share, and I am trying to share something here. Oh, here it is I've heard Brother Jabril Muhammad say often, you know, when he's doing seminars, and he would talk about, you know, being focused on your purpose and your goal, and he would say, if you aim at nothing, how often will you hit it? If you aim at nothing, how often will you hit it? All the time, because you're aiming at nothing. So one of the first principles of lesson planning is that you got to have a target. So I'm just going to scroll real quick and just show, you know, a learning target. So for example, the solar system, you can read that. I do mine in different colors literally on my board, but it's basically, the red is what are we doing? And then black is why are we doing this? And then blue is how do you know you're doing it right? Or how do you know you're on target? So that would be my target for the solar system. And then for that waves activity online, similar, having a target. We're going to do this so that we can practice with some properties, and I'll know that I'm on target. I know I'm on point when I can identify and explain the effects of various wave properties. So having a target and letting the child know, look, this is what we're doing and why, and this is how you know that you're on point. Having them to understand that and not keeping it a secret is very important for young people, because you want to know what it is you're supposed to be able to do. And that is all that I'm going to say on that.
Praise be to Allah. Wow. Thank you so much, Brother Bobby. See, I knew you were going to come through, Brother Bobby. That's why I invited you.
Praise be to Allah. Hopefully
Praise
it's
be to
helpful.
Allah. Yes, sir. So, Brother Allende says there's no questions yet, but of course, remember they're in that delay
Yes, ma'am.
phase. So, you know, I hate to stop it right now or cut it off in any way, but I know we only have about 4 more minutes. And it's interesting. Oh, go ahead, sister.
Oh, yes, sir. And Sister Kadar, we do, you know, the each one teach one, and I don't think we have a science before, but, you know, I could totally, I'm not sure, Brother Bobby, if you're familiar with this, homeschoolers kind of know about this, but there's this, it's called Landry Academy, and they do online science just the way that you just did now, but except, you know, it would be with a teacher and students.
Okay.
I would totally love, you know, for us to figure out a way. I mean, even if it would be that we would compensate the instructors, but how great would it be for, you know, the children to learn from you, like our homeschool children, to either take a course or a mini course,
Yeah.
or a day course or a weekend course, even if it's just workshop with you, who, I mean, here's a real life scientist, a science teacher, you know, that they could relate to, and because most of the time they're getting taught by the mother, which is, you know, us. But how great would it be to, you know, to work with someone like you, even if it's, I don't know, a day or a Saturday or a weekend,
Right.
line, you know, this form like this. But Landry Academy has figured it out. They're Christian based, but they have students all over the country, and then every summer they get together for a science camp, and they do, you know, week-long camp. So, I mean, we could totally figure this out. I mean, we have all the talent we have in our nation is just amazing. I mean, just this week alone, just listening to all the presenters and, you know, yourself, it's really exciting. And then we just got to figure out a way to get our students and our children connected with people, you know, that we've heard from this week, and being directly taught by by you. I mean, my son would totally love, I could just totally see that. You know, here is an official, you know, teacher of science. Like Sister Gadara said, you know, my strong point is history and math.
Nice.
But for science, you know, every time you know, it makes me a little nervous about teaching it. But it's just all about, you know, like you said, just staying curious, you know, just like they are. But, you know, just a thought, if you research Landry Academy or kerclick.com, those are 2 websites that have really gotten it down as far as online learning for homeschoolers, and a lot of it is Christian-based, so, I mean, it would just be nice.
Okay, I wrote that down, and that would be something I would love to do. As a matter of fact, I've been in communication with Sister Georgina, and we were trying to work that out. I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like I had the equipment to do what I really want to do, and I didn't want to just do it garbage-like, you know, because to take science,
that's why I recommend you checking out Landry Academy. They have a couple of sample videos of live classes. I mean, it's recorded, but you could see how the teacher did it, and it was pretty basic. I think they use Blackboard Illuminate. Is Sister Gadara, is that what it's called?
Blackboard Collaborate. It's like a
Blackboard Collaborate.
Okay.
Is their forum, and I mean, it's just basically a person, a mom, in their kitchen table,
right,
with a computer, giving out assignments, and then there's like maybe 10 students. They raise their hand. Then she gives them assignments, and then you know, she wants pictures or video, that homework that they have to turn in, and then they discuss it. I mean, I thought it was pretty basic.
Okay.
I would consider us, I mean, we've been doing our Each One Teach One series, which is very wonderful. All the teachers have done it for free. But I think, you know, I think it's time now that we probably would start asking people to commit and, you know, have it a paid service. I don't know. It's just a thought, but
That's a great thought.
I know it would pay something.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a fantastic thought, and that's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and it just hasn't. You know, timing is everything, but Allah's timing is best. But you know, I think I agree with your spirit in that, you know, this probably is the time to really, you know, make this happen, and it's something I definitely would like to do.
Okay,
Yes, sir. Praise Allah.
Okay, we have one more question. This will be the last question from the night, and it's from Sister Georgina. She says, Brother Bobby, when can we expect a curriculum from you?
Well, if you know anything about curriculum, it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of
A lot
time.
of time.
So that's a great question, and I've actually kind of outlined some things that I would love to take some time and do, and I'm in the process now of saying no to some things so that I can have some more time to do some of these things, like for example, writing curriculum. So,
Yes, sir.
Or even workbooks, you know.
effort too, by the way.
I'm
So
sorry?
curriculum is always a group effort. So when we talk
Yeah.
about you,
Yes.
it's no you, it's got to be we.
Yeah.
So we all have to
Yes.
help out. And I've never done a curriculum by myself. It's always been with a part of a team, and that makes it a whole lot easier and faster.
Brother, yes, sir. Brother Bobby, do you have any like, you know, workbooks? I think Sister Isabel was about to ask. Do you have any workbooks or anything, DVDs, you know, anything that we can support you with?
The DVDs that I have are just things that I just did at Mosque number 12, where on Wednesday nights, Brother Minister Rodney would have me to carry the Wednesdays, and I just chose not to lecture a lot, and I chose to do some activities, science activities that were related to the teachings.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
For example, Sister Kadar, I mentioned the magnetism piece that we did.
Yeah.
And so that is a lesson that I've taught at the middle school level, high school level, and college, and within the mosque as a part of the teachings, because electricity and magnetism, it ties to so many things. And so I do have a DVD, a series that we've done. It was more spiritual related, so it was actually taking science and putting it together and leading it into the spiritual aspect of things. But you know, those are the kinds of things. See, if I watch folks do things like on YouTube and whatnot, and I see how they put together lessons and then they're just available, and that's the kind of thing that I would love to do. And there's certain equipment that I know you need to have access to. But yeah, that would be wonderful to be able to set up some things like that, and even if you can get a group of believers, like we can get a group of believers here, or even we'll say, since we're talking about homeschool, we'll talk about children, just getting a group of children together in any one place and facilitating a lesson, but then also connecting that classroom of students to other students. Maybe that's what we're talking about with Landry's as well.
Yeah.
You know, with having one class of a few students, 2 or 3 or 4, but then connected to a bunch of other students online. So, you know, I agree with you again that there's so much that you can do, but and I agree even more that it's good to start off basic. You know, to keep it really simple. You know, and let it just grow from there, because a lot of times the simple is just so much more effective.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, sir. Brother Bobby, so where can we get those DVD series? I think those are wonderful.
I can, I have them. So
Okay.
it's
So
just a
we'll
matter of just contacting me, I guess.
Okay, yes, sir. So we'll make sure that we put your information on our website so that people know where they can purchase that, where they can contact you. Do you want to, right now, before we leave, give your email or any type of, if you have a website or anything?
Sure. I do not have a website, but I do have an email address, and it is it's B. Oh, can I type it? Oh snap! I sure can. Watch this. I'm gonna do one more screen share. That way I don't have to
I can tell you're loving this technology.
Oh, yeah. I do love technology. I've just never used this. But I'm a quick learner.
Brother Jesse gave us a out of Houston, gave us a tutorial on how to use the Google Plus Hangout live on air. So kudos to Brother Jesse. Thank you, Brother Jesse. I had to give a shout out to him.
Wonderful. So can you see my Word document?
Yes.
All right. Yes. BJM HMD. Oh Lord, come on, Bobby. BJM HMD 2000 at gmail.com.
JMHMD. Okay. .com.
And also, Brother Bobby, you know, it would be nice also to have you come back to talk about Brother Jabril's outlining method. I love that outlining method. And yes. Brother Eric, I think I shared with you that Brother Eric also, in his presentation, he referenced Brother Jabril's outlining method, and he was using it not for science, but he was using it for, he was using it for Message to the Black Man, for Islamic civilization. I think, I would love for you to share that as well with our Each One Teach One, or when we have you back, because we are going to have you back.
Certainly.
So.
Yes.
I'd be happy to. Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, so family, at this time, let me check Allende over here. I am getting no more questions from Brother Allende, so I think I just want to say thank you to you, Brother Bobby. I want to thank all of the viewers who have watched over this past week. Thank all of our presenters. I mean, this was just a phenomenal. I couldn't have even imagined this. I just, thought that we could do something for our homeschool educators, because everybody was having professional development, but the homeschoolers, we don't really get that. So I thought, wow, wouldn't it be nice for us to have this as well? So thank you for doing this. Thank you for all of the help that we received from all of the staff. And I think that is it. So at this time, we're going to close out and end in prayer. So, Brother Bobby, would you do the honors?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Yes, sir.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the day of requital in which we now live. Thee alone do we worship. Thee alone do we beseech for thine aid. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who have gone astray after hearing thy divine teachings. Ameen.
Amen.
Okay, praise be to Allah. Thank you, family. Also, don't forget, you can go to www.muyhsn.com to see all of these presentations. They are archived. They're on the website. I want to give a shout out to my son, Brother Allende. He has helped us tremendously. I mean, I don't know what we would have done without Brother Allende. Okay, hold on. Wait, before you leave, Brother Bobby. Okay, we had another question come in. Will we be able to receive the lessons presented today on the planet perspective? Okay, yes. Right? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I just need to to find if I have it. I know I have hard copies. I just got to find the actual soft copies or the digital form, and then I'll talk with you and we'll figure out where I need to put that to make it available.
Okay, yes. So, audience, we will have everything that you've seen presented in these last 5 days. We will have all of those that material available to you either via our website or through our Yahoo group. In our MailChimp. Okay, we'll get that information to you because we wanted to. Okay, so thank you so much, and I leave you as we came with the greeting words of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.